Detroit Lions 2022 roster grades. A lot of people are happy with this team. Let's see if they can win. We'll see what the roster grade is. Let's get right into it. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Fun NFL. Like and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Roster grade 2. Look at the news really quick. Baltimore Ravens coach John Harbaugh on running back on J.K. Dobbins playing week 1. He might not play. Honestly, that's not the worst thing because his recovery has not been great. Like, it hasn't been a good recovery because not every ACL injury recovery is going to be great. His hasn't been great. We'll see if he can play, though. I hope he does, but if that means he's not going to play for the rest of the season, I really don't want it. I really don't want that to happen. Training camp updates. Joint practice is living things up. Yeah, basically, joint practice, I really like when they do that, but the one thing with them is they sometimes get into fights. That's the only bad thing. But Houston Texans wide receiver Brandon Cooks unbothered by Pro Bowl snaps. Well, he's got, if he wants to be in the Pro Bowl, he just has to be the best receiver in the NFL. You know, that's kind of what Cooper Kupp did last year. Yeah, either way. Brandon Cooks should be a Pro Bowler. He's really good. Probably will be this year. Okay, let's get right into the roster grade, though. As always, starting out with quarterback Jared Goff. I'm a higher side Jared Goff. He got the Rams to a Super Bowl, which you can't really say about much quarterbacks. He wasn't really a big player with quarterback. Like, his deep ball percentage was really low. But when he put the ball on the field, it was pretty good. Overall, I would think he's a really good quarterback. Obviously, he's not great, but still. Jared Goff gets the job done. He can win, and most importantly, he's not going to be the reason you win all the times, but at his peak, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, he looked like unstoppable against the Vikings that one game. In Week 4, 2018, he looked like the best quarterback. I don't even know. That was the best performance I've ever seen from a quarterback. He was so good. Unstoppable. Last year, of course, he went 3-2-1 on 10-1 lines. Not the actual worst record, but not obviously pretty bad. But he had 67.2 completion percentage. Did push the ball downfield a lot, considering his yards per attempt was 6.6, lower than the year before when he didn't even push the ball downfield at all last year. Like, even less than he did this year. And then, but yards per completion, of course, 12.9 led the league. And adjusted yards per attempt, net yards, whatever. He was really good, but he hasn't really pushed ball down the field since 2019, and even then, he didn't really do it a ton. But last year, he was really good. I just think he needs to push the ball on the field a little more next year. He's not going to be the reason you win a lot of games either. He took somewhat of a little bit of amount of sacks. And Tim Boyle's backup, he was below par last year, obviously, but he was able to push the ball down the field, was able to move the offense somewhat. David Blau, really bad, like really, really bad. I mean, he had one good game, but he's really bad. Of course, Jared Goff's PFF grade was 60.3 because he's a really slow race and he does fumble, takes some sacks, and oh yeah, if you didn't know, his footwork is not great either. But yeah, I'll give him a C+. I think Jared Goff is an above-average quarterback, but not by much. Yeah, he's just around there. Not B-caliber quarterback. He could be by the end of the year for sure, but right now he sits at a C+. Highest I give him is a B. At his best, he's a B+ quarterback. Because we've seen him in the A tier, but that's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. He did that for like once. He did that for a part of 2018. That's just like, I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen. B, I think Jared Goff at his best right now could be a B+ quarterback. Really good quarterback. But right now I'll give him a C+, because that's what he normally is at. He's about a little bit of average. He won't be the reason you lose. He won't be the reason you win, though. Comes out to 15. That is, what is it, 16 out of 30. Or, yeah. Or 18 out of 30. That's right around where you want them. Time for this running back position. Okay, DeAndre Swift. I like DeAndre Swift a lot. He's so explosive, big play guy. He's not very efficient, though. He doesn't have a lot of great runs, but he's really explosive, really good versatile back. His ball carrier vision is not great, but when he's in the open field, he's really hard to tackle. Like, really, really hard. If we can see more consistency from him, and he's better in the red zone, I think he could be a really good quarterback. Running back, because he has a lot of potential as well there, and he hasn't really gotten the full on a ton of carries yet, which I think he will get. But we'll see, I guess. But in advance, we get the yards before contact. That just shows his offensive line is really good. But he's good after contact as well. He broke 9 tackles as well, which means he's got some good youth in him. Not only that, though, like I said, he's a really, 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 really good receiver. Not only that, he's basically this offense's only big plays. Jamal Williams, really good backup, barreler, can just run over guys. And he just runs with such aggression. Like, he just runs, like, fast. I love Jamal Williams. Justin Jackson, meh. he can create some big plays, pretty good out of the back, receiver out of the backfield. But in limited action, I don't think he has great ball carrier vision. He doesn't really read blocks well, and I don't think he can get outside the tackles really well as well. Craig Reynolds really busts his butt. And he's the type of guy that will get that last yard, like that extra yard. He will get. Like if I'm gonna tell you a guy who's gonna do it, it's gonna be Craig Reynolds, because that dude just plays really hard. That's just the truth. That's his running back position, though. I'm safe to say I'll give him a B minus because Dennis Swift is by no means a top 10 back in the NFL. He could be by the end of the year, but the depth that I like a lot, and the fact that he's not bad. Like DeAndre Swift is a viable starter as well. You know what? I'll give him a B. I'll be generous because this is the best running back room the Lions have had in a while. I'll give him a B. Yeah, I think that's fair. Maybe a little high, but I think that's fair for now. 3.67, 3.61 plus 12, 15.67 at 20. Pretty darn good time for wide receiver position. As always, starting with the number 1 receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was really good last year. He didn't really get over the top though, like I'd expect him to, because if you didn't know, that's kind of what it's what he came into the NFL out of USC being, that kind of guy, getting over the top. But he's really good after the catch. Not only that though, but he can actually go in the backfield as well, which is a huge thing. Kind of like that Cooper Kupp ability, but he's just not as big or as, I don't know how to say it, but yeah, he's a really good receiver. DJ Chark didn't play at all really last year, didn't get any playing time, but in 2019 he was 1,000-yard receiver. Never been a big red zone, been a good deep threat, good run off the catch, good route runner, not a great route runner, not great hands. His release isn't anything special, but very solid receiver. Jameson Williams, of course, he is that guy who's going to play really, what is it called? He's going to play over the top. He's going to be that deep threat guy, obviously. None of that, though. He's got good hands. Not great hands, but he has good hands. And he has good release. Like, he's that deep threat, obviously. He won't play week 1 now towards ACL. That is a little bit of an issue. People are kind of overlooking that, in my opinion. But if that ACL injury doesn't really affect him going into after week 1, of course, he start rehabbing. It's been a really good rehab, if you didn't know. Kind of the opposite of, who the heck was it? Who had a bad ACL rehab. It was J.K. Dobbins. But yeah, he's really good. I like Jamal Williams out of Alabama. Josh Reynolds, solid. The reason he didn't see me score was Jared Goff, but not a bad fourth receiver at all. Quintus Cephas, I think Quintus Cephas is a little underrated, but his role is being able to catch jump balls because he's one of the slower receivers in the NFL, and not only that though, he's got some brick hands. He's got some brick hands. He didn't drop the ball last year, but yeah, he has some brick hands. And he's not a great blocker either. Speed upgrade says he's decent. I'd agree with that, but he's literally just that red zone guy. Khalif Raymond, really fast, but that's kind of it. And they got to really get a lot of targets last year for that reason. He's kind of that 6th receiver, though. Like, I think that's fair. Because you don't want him as your 2nd receiver like he was last year. But he proved he can go out there and be reliable, or somewhat. Tom Kennedy, oh yeah, his route running's a lot better than that. Tom Kennedy's kind of a bum, but Adam Bryant, I think he has a lot of potential, and I do think he could be a good slot receiver. They don't really have a good slot, though, because none of these guys are really slots. Because Amon-Ra St. Brown, yeah, none of these guys are really true outside receivers either in terms of, like, X's, but I think they're going to find an X. Like, I think DJ Chark could be that guy. This receiving core, I think, is somewhat competent. I'll give it a B. I think that's fair. The reason I'm not giving him anything higher or anything lower is pretty much because all those guys have gotten playing time, and none of those guys are bad receivers. They don't really have I'd say Amon-Ra St. Brown, if he's real, like, I'm kind of banking on it, but I think they have a good receiving core. That's just my opinion on it. I'm kind of being a little biased because I really liked Amon-Ra St. Brown in college, like, a lot, but I'll be straight up honest, yeah. 15.67. That's just it's a little bit of bias, but I do think that's fair. Considering, like, you put all on paper, yeah, probably not a B, but got to realize that they do have a really good receiving core if you really just put it all together. Time for tight end. T.J. Hockenson, in my opinion, he's the 5th best tight end in the NFL. I know that's a little out there. I'll be honest with you. That's pretty hot. It's a pretty big hot take. But T.J. Hockenson at his best is one of the better run blockers in the league and a top 4 receiving tight end in the NFL. I'm not even kidding. Like, he'd be or top 5 receiving tight end. But 68.1 PFF grade I do like. But he is just so dynamic and he's so good in the red zone, so fast, so good downfield. He is they have a tight end for 10+ years. He's so good. Brock Wright's I think he's established himself as a decent backup. Not a great blocker, though. I think he needs to work on that. But he was able to get downfield, get in the red zone, make some catches. I think that's good. Devin Funchess, he's kind of a joke now. He was, like, bad enough as a receiver. Like, he was a bad receiver because his release was so bad. Not only that, though, but his routes and his catching. He's just not a good. He was a physical receiver who had some speed. But as a receiver, I don't know why he's playing this. It's kind of ridiculous, I'll be honest with you. He's literally just a taller and a more light version of. He's a physical receiver, but it's kind of a joke having him there. I'll just be honest, but he's a really good receiver, I guess. Virginia Tech's James Mitchell. Don't know much about him. I just remember him making some big blocks for who the heck was their back for Khalil Herbert a couple of years ago. But James Mitchell's not bad. Not Khalil Herbert. Who the heck was it? I forgot who it was. Whatever. Tight end position is pretty darn good. Okay, I'll give him an A-. The reason I'm not giving him anything higher is simply because I think T.J. Hawkinson's amazing, top 5. But the depth isn't great, and I think Brock Wright is solid. But Devin Funchess, he'll be a receiver. Like, I don't even know why he's playing tight end. As a receiver, he's like a D receiver. He's not good. Like, not good. The only thing he's good at is going up and getting the ball. Like, that's really it. And even then, he's not great at that. Or reliable. So that's why I got to give him this. But this is probably the one, if not the best, one of the best parts of this team. Time for this offensive line. Okay, Taylor Decker, really reliable left tackle. Of course, he got hurt last year, but when he's on the field, he gets the job done really well. He's not a great run blocker, I'll be honest with you, and his pass blocking could use some work, but he's been good his whole career. Jonah Jackson, really underrated, really young, and really good. Dan Skipper, bad backup. I don't know, he's just not been good. Logan Stenberg just really struggles with getting his hands on blockers quickly, but at Kentucky, he wasn't bad, so I guess he has some potential, I guess. Frank Nago, top 5 center in the NFL. Gets hurt often, but when he's on the field, he's elite. Evan Brown. I like Evan Brown as back. A bigger guy, but he can really push guys down the field. He's a really good snapper as well. How about Vaitai? I mean, he's improved. How about Vaitai? He's improved, but as, like, getting a lot of snaps, I do like what I see from him. We'll see what he can do this year. Tommy Kramer, not a bad backup. Young. We'll see what he can do in his second season. Penei Sewell, proved that I wouldn't say he had the best rookie season, but he definitely held his own for sure. And then some in a way. 77 PF grade definitely tells him. He did have 5 sacks, did have 11 penalties. A lot of those were false starts, which you can't have. Matt Nelson, I like Matt Nelson a lot. He's just been there, I guess you could say, but he's had some really good run blocks and like sustained them. So I think this is pretty sneaky in a way for this offense. Yeah, this offensive line, I'm not giving him A tier. I'll give him a B+. This offensive line is good, just not great. That's my opinion on it. They're good. They're not elite. My bad. They're really good. They're just not elite. Here's why. I don't think their depth is anything special. It's not bad by any means, but it's not anything special. It's not special. In order to be a top offensive line in the NFL, you have to have at least like 3 or 4 guys that can come in and start and be, I don't know what to say, viable. 4+, 8, 12 out of 15. Solid. Time for this overall offensive grade and average. Okay, the range for roster grade is 76 out of 100, which falls right in the C+ tier. In the average is obviously a B, but I'll give him a B-. I think his offense is better than their defense, obviously, but here's my problem with the offense. They're not going to score a ton of points. They're just not. And they're not going to put up a ton of yards either. But when they're hot, they're going to be really hot, like really hot. So that's what I like. The thing is, the talent, they don't have a ton of firepower, but they have a really solid roster in their trenches. Like, their offensive line and I could honestly put them in A tier, but I can't do that yet. Tight end position and their offensive line are really good. I think they have potential to be that B really good offense, but I think they're a little bit above average right now. On paper, they're a good offense, just not a great offense. Time for this defense, starting out with the linebackers. Okay. They run a 4-3, so we get to go cover through all of them. Derek Barnes, at Purdue in 2021, rookie last year. He was solid, but the one thing is he's just not there in terms of the pass coverage. He just really hasn't performed well in that, and he was pretty bad last year. But I do think his tackling was not atrocious. And I don't think that PFF graded evens out right. Because, I'll be honest with you, he's just not there yet in terms of the pass coverage. He just got burned a lot by running backs. None of that, though. He was a pretty big liability in there. But then we look at it. 8.2 missed tackle percentage, that's about average. I think that's fair. But his tackling's there. He's not a bad tackler whatsoever. But his one problem is he just got to get better in pass coverage because he was like egregiously bad last year. Josh Woods, kind of the same thing, except he's maybe not as bad, but he's not a good tackler. Like, just not a good tackler. Alex Anzalone from the Saints. A couple years ago, but he was good when he played last year. He was definitely the best. Honestly, he could have been the best player on this defense last year, or second best. I like him a lot. We'll see what he can do this year. He's good in pass coverage as well. Sean Deion Hamilton, purely a good tackler and a pretty big playmaker, but he just didn't really play a lot last year, and even when he got to, he wasn't great. Chris Board, bad. Like, you don't want him starting. I don't know why he's starting. It's probably just because, he does hit it pretty hard, though. I don't like Chris Board. Like, I just don't. Like, he was not good last year, obviously. But, he can hit hard. I don't think he's the worst guy in pass coverage. I just don't like him because he misses a lot of tackles, like a lot of them. He gave up a lot of touchdowns as well, too. Like, I wouldn't say he might not have been the reason last year, but he was not good. He was bad. Like, 8.9 missed tackle percentage, yeah, but there were some pretty bad missed tackles. Then we look at the pass coverage. He didn't give up a touchdown, but trust me, he got burned on a lot of plays. Like, air yards, where are they? 69 air yards is not great. He was a backup last year, too. Malcolm Rodriguez out of Kentucky. No, Oklahoma State. Why do I think there's another Rodriguez? Whatever. He was Oklahoma State's best player last year. Honestly, like I can say that pretty comfortably. He really struggled in the game in the Pac-12. Big 12 championship. But he's a really good run stopper, really good playmaker. Can make a lot of plays on the ball. I think he really needs to work. I think his pass coverage is kind of like sloppy, but it's not terrible. Okay, I'll give this linebacker a C+. It's improved immensely from the past couple years, but Malcolm Rodriguez isn't starting just for the fact that he purely is pretty raw. But I think this is a much better linebacker core than it used to be. It's still not great, but it's promising. And I don't think they have the worst starters. Like, Chris Board should not be starting, obviously, but he kind of has to. And as a backup, he's actually a good backup. Okay, defensive line. Of course, we're not going to worry about the pass rush stuff, but Romeo Okwara, I don't know what's up with him. Achilles was placed on. Oh, that's not good. Let's hope he didn't tear it. But Romeo Okwara, I don't know what's up with him. He didn't play all of last year, and he was really good in 2020, though. Charles Harris, below par, but I don't think Charles Harris is that bad. He's a little overrated, but he's definitely not bad. He gets the job done really well, and I do think he needs to work on his what it's called, not pass rush. His second move isn't great. His first step isn't great either. But I think he just needs to work on his power in terms of being able to create penetration against the offensive line in the run game. Ali McNeil, third round pick last year. I think he's a good big guy. He really needs to get better at getting his hands on the offensive lineman fast, because if he gets blocked, they're just going to get to the second level really fast. Like, that's happened a lot last year. That's why teams are able to run on the Lions. If he can get better, and be same level like he was in pass cover pass rush last year, I think he'll be really good. Michael Bracker's respected veteran. He's kind of getting up there in age, though, and isn't as good as he used to be. Le'Veon Wuzurki, it's not his way you spell it. He kind of had a bad year last year, low key, but his pass rush is definitely why they drafted him. So we'll see what he can do. Isaiah Bugg's terrible. Like, that's just my opinion on him. Aiden Hutchinson, number two pick in the draft. I think he was the best player in the draft. Not the most talented guy, but obviously has really good scissor move, short arms that kind of limits his range, and is really good with improvisation. Has a good first step, even better second step. His third step needs a little bit of work if he needs to take it. Jude Okwara, kind of like Romeo Okwara, except I think he actually is more athletic, and he was good last year. He's just really raw still. But yeah, that's his defensive line. Okay, I like this defensive line. I'm going about B-. The defensive line is, there's no one superstar other than, of course, Aiden Hutchinson, but it's not, like, terrible by any means. So that comes out to 3.33 plus 12, which is 15, no, plus 8, 11.33 out of 15. They got a lot of potential. They got a lot of work to do, but I do think this is definitely an above-average defensive line for what you expect from them. Time to pass rush. Okay. Aiden Hutchinson is the #1 guy this year. I think he's not bad, but Charles Harris, Julian Okora are the other edge rushers, and Michael Brockers, Aleem McNeil, and Le'Veon Bouza will have to help up the middle. And of course, if Romeo Okora can play, he would definitely help as well. They've got 7 guys I think they can get after quarterback. Of course, 4 of them are going to be expected to. Of course, Michael Brockers probably will be too. They don't got, other than Aiden Hutchinson, I don't really do think they have a consistent guy. I don't even know if Aiden Hutchinson will be, but he was the #2 pick, so we have to expect that from him. But pass rush is a little weak, but it's not bad. I think their pass rush this year is going to be very inconsistent. I'll give them a C. On paper, it's not that great, but it's not that bad either. Because all those guys have had a certain number of sacks. It's not like they're missing guys. Their depth is good. It's not like, it's a lot of unprovenness. Because it's been only either one season for the guys. Romeo Okora is, of course, established, but we don't even know if he'll play. And the guys at the middle, I just don't know if they're going to be consistent enough. Aleem McNeil, I think he's the only one guy there that I can count on, but still don't know. Comes out to 15 out of 25. A little bit of a missed opportunity there with the pass rush. Time for this cornerback position. Okay, Amani Oriaraway. I like Amani Oriaraway a lot, but he had a big year last year. Big year. He was really good. Forget his POF grade. He was really good. He was the best player on this defense. Not just because he had 6 interceptions, but also because he really shut down a lot of guys. He gave up 4 touchdowns, yes, but none of those were really deep balls. He gets 671 yards, yes. His completion percentage wasn't great, but gotta remember, he is a little bit more of a risk taker, but I really liked how he played. Will Harris, meh, he's not terrible. I just don't think he gives up a lot of yardage, but for a slot, he's not the worst. AJ Parker, was kind of bad last year, but he's a really good tackler, and he's really good at stripping, so guess that's what you get there. Jeff Okudah, if he's not good this year, he's getting cut. He's, was so bad in 2020. Absolute worst corner in the NFL, in my opinion. But last year he got hurt, so, whatever. Mike Hughes, terrible. Yeah, this cornerback room, other than Amani Oriaraway, is a little weak. Yeah. Okay, since they have Amani Oriaraway, that does save them. I don't know what that is. From getting anything lower than a D+, but that's what I'll give them. It's not good. But I guess it could be worse. Time for the safety. Okay, Deshaun Elliott. He's been kind of wild in his career, I'll put it that way. In pass coverage, he never really is good in zone. He just isn't. Well, obviously he's good in zone, but he's not really, my bad. He's not really good at reading the quarterback. He's more of just that athletic guy that is fast and can play over the top. He's not much of a ball pack, has brick hands, and I just don't think he's that great. But he can make tackles. He's really fast. Tracy Walker really stepped up last year after being absolutely terrible in 2020. On arguably the worst defense in NFL history. But he still wasn't great. He still struggled in pass coverage. So yeah, but he was much better than what he was in 2020. He gave up 5 touchdowns last year, but it wasn't just that. It was so many deep balls. He gave up a ton of deep balls. This year, I would say he's much better with the deep balls, and he gave a lot more yardage, but that's just because I think he was more consistent this year as well. In 2020, Jesus, he was so bad. But this year, I think his tackling got better as well, too. We look at 9.2 percentage. He's never been that great of a tackler, but he definitely stepped it up after being really bad last year. And then we go down to Ifeanyi Mufanu. I don't think he's bad at all. He didn't really get a ton of playing time. He showed a lot of good promise as well. Not really making many mistakes, but I think he needs to be more of a ball hawk this year. CJ Moore. CJ Moore can really get over the top. Of course, he's a little older now, but for sure he's going to have to step up and be that guy who can really come in and just be that dime guy. Okay, C-. I don't love this safety room, I'll be honest with you, but it's not bad. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not good. I think it got a little bit better, but because it was D tier last year, but it's still not that great. So 2.33 plus 9 is 11.33 out of 20. Time for this defensive overall grade and average. Okay, the points is 58 out of 100, which is D-. They're not that bad. I'll give them a D plus. In the average is C. This defense is not good. Like, it's just not. The linebackers are so much better than they have been in the past. This defensive line is growing. This pass rush is still, I think, going to be inconsistent. Quarterback room's the worst part of this team, probably, being honest. The safeties, meh. But overall, this is just not going to be a good defense this year, in my opinion. On paper, they're just weak. They don't have, like, a lot to, like, be hyped about, or even just, like, you know they're going to be great. They're going to be pretty good. Like, they just don't have it here. That's just how it is. Time for the special teams, though. Not a great defense. Of course, they're trotting out Austin Cyber for another season. He was low-key pretty good in the games he played. Like, he wasn't great, but he was low-key pretty good. So we'll see what he can do this year. Jack Fox. Oh, God. Is he the best? Yeah, he's the best punter in the NFL. He's elite. Like, just, yeah. Khalif Raymond's really good returner. Like, really, really good returner. Doesn't muff it either. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is also good, too. Godwin Ibuke is a tank. Really good kick returner. I don't know why every team doesn't have their running backs do kickoff returns. Probably because they don't want them to get hurt, but they're tanks. And if you've got a fast guy, too, that's good. Scott Daly, not bad for a punt return. He's not great, but whatever. I'll be fair, the special teams unit isn't, like, great, but I give it, like, a B because they're not really that talented. It's just the fact they got really good coaching, and on paper it's actually not that bad, so I'll give them a B. Comes out to a 3.67, 3.67. Plus 4 is 7.67 out of 10. Pretty darn good. Time for his overall team depth grade. Okay, running back depth, B+. Wide receiver depth, B-. B. Tight end depth, B. Offensive line depth, C+. Overall offensive depth, B-. Linebacker depth, C+. Defensive line depth, B. Pass rush depth, B-. Cornerback depth, D. Safety depth, C. Special, overall depth, oh gosh, this is kind of hard. Well, defensive depth, C-. So I gotta give them a B- and a C-. That's like a, yeah, I'll go like a C. Their depth isn't great, but, it works. No, C+. Like, they usually are able to find, like, holes, but it's not like their roster gets absolutely destroyed. Like, that's just, it's good depth. 3, yeah, it's 59-25. Not great. Time for this overall roster grade. Okay, the Lions roster, 172 out of 235. That comes out to a B-. I don't think they're that good, but I'll give them a C+. This roster is better than it was last year. I think it's actually a little bit above average even. Good depth, not their firepower. There's some weak positions for sure, but this defense is going to be a little bad. This offense is going to be, I think it's going to be a little inconsistent, but they're going to be decent. Not to the firepower, but good depth and a good roster overall. C+ is what I'm going to give them.
Wilson keeps, surveys, deep ball, there it is!